ones behind them. No one wants to support them because they think they're crazy. Like, you want to take out a second mortgage on our house to make a movie about a little double doll that gets picked up and has an affair with a woman. It's crazy, but they do it. And they do this without resources, and it's incredibly inspiring to me. It's everyone from Ed Wood with Night of the Ghouls in the 50s up until Chester Turner with Tales from the Flatbed Zone in the 80s. Are these people that inspire me so much because they did so much with so little. And we're up here now talking about them. We watch these movies and there's still stuff to be gleaned from these movies. They had no systems behind them, but they're saying a lot and they're doing a lot, and they do things that we cannot watch anywhere else in the world, no matter how hard we try. They're so idiosyncratic and perfect in their own way. And these are the kinds of movies that really make me happy, and they make me inspired, and they make the hairs on my neck just pop up all the time when I even think about them. Now, the greatest thing about loving these movies is finding other people that appreciate them in the same way. And when you find someone that is not only has great taste, but is also intelligent and a great person and is genuinely honest about their love for these movies, it is the best thing in the world. It is rainbows and unicorns in your eyeballs constantly because it feels so good. And the reason why we're here tonight is because I found a person like that, or rather, she found me and she found us. And we're so happy to have her here. I want you to give a big round of applause for Millie DeCherico from Turner Classic.
I mean, seriously, an honor. I've been in awe of Drafthouse forever, obviously, and getting to collaborate with you and Tommy and Larry and everybody is like a dream.
Same goes for us.
This is also dreams.
This is.
Standing in front of this giant screen.
I think that these people have no idea what they're in store for, which makes me very happy. Very, very happy.
Has anybody seen this movie before?
A couple of people, great, and most of them have not, so even better. Even better. So the great thing about this is that when we were talking to Millie about doing these shows, and she was coming here to take over the Ritz and show whatever she wanted to, we were in a meeting, and she's like, well, here are a few things that I'd like to do for Terror Tuesday, but then there's this one movie I really want to do, you've probably never heard of it. And I said, what is it? And she said, Criminally Insane. And I just about lost my mind because this movie, I've been searching for a way to fit this into Terror Tuesday for years, since I started. And I cannot find a place for it because it is out there. It's real out there. It's like, you know, one of the movies that I was like, this is pushing it real far. We've watched Andy Milligan movies here. We watched Last Slumber Party. We watched Shot the Dead, all sorts of crazy movies. But this one, to me, I was like, I need a way in, and Millie allowed us to do that. So thank you very, very much for
Very
letting us
welcome.
happen.
I just have to say, like, first of all, I probably should have never said, you probably never heard of this.
Oh, no, it's not. No.
I'm like, have you ever heard of this?
I've never seen Blade Runner,
Oh.
so you never know.
We saw the sequel first, which is ridiculous.
And what's the sequel called?
I think it's called Crazy Fat Apple 2.
Yes.
And I was in college, and I was at a thrift store, and I found a copy of the VHS, and I was like, well, clearly I need to watch this movie. So my roommates and I watched it. And the funny thing about the sequel is that it's basically this movie in the sequel, so it plays like almost the entire movie in the sequel. I can't even really remember what things were on.
It does. Have you guys seen Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2? It's just like that. It's shot in the camcorder.
Yeah. So of course, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. But then we went back and realized, oh, there was the Criminally Insane, the first one. So we watched it, and it became like a legend film between my college roommates and I. And it was funny because I actually hadn't thought about ever, like I was like, oh, if I get to like ever program into the movie, what could I play? It was a total pie in the sky. I was like, there's no way they'll be able to play this. And the minute you said that you had seen it and wanted to, I was like,
How amazing is that there are two people in the world that have this, that are right here on this stage that love this movie so much and are both like, this is a dream to have this happen. This is incredible. I love this moment. Good.
My opinion of the movie has evolved a little bit. I think it's been a little bit more nuanced as I got older and smarter, hopefully. So, you know, I think there's kind of two things happening. So there's obviously watching a trash horror movie, which is enjoyable and fun, and I mean, there's a lot of crazy moments that will all happen. But then I think there's also kind of like, you know, an underlying message happening. And maybe the director, who I don't really know too much about, but I know you know a lot about it, maybe he didn't intend for it to be, you know, I think he kind of said, we're going to make a movie about a killer fat lady, and that's going to be it. But I think that, like, else going on. I think, as you'll see in the film, it's not as just like straight and narrow. I think you kind of figure out, maybe she needs to feel something, feel love in her life, because she's clearly had a hard life. She's in a mental institution, and like, maybe this is how she processes the world. And she has a sister who, by the way, I really want you guys to notice the sister, because I truly believe she should have won an Oscar. I mean, if this movie was a qualification, she should have totally won it, because she's great. Like, the sister is amazing. And, I feel like, well, there might be some kind of, something there too, with the sister being very promiscuous. Maybe they're gluttonous in different ways. And anyway, that's my feminist reading of the movie. But I'm very curious about, like, because you actually interviewed him, or do you know a lot about the director? I don't really know.
Dude, are you guys ready? You guys ready to take a seat and sit down and sit back and hear some crazy shit? Okay. So, Nick Millard, director of this movie, has a lot of different pseudonyms. Nick Phillips, Nick Millard, Sven Christensen, who's also rated as a Speckler pseudonym, was once referred to as the Godard of XXX, and he was referred to that by himself. So,
always a good mark.
absolutely, yeah. So there's this guy named S.S. Millard, his father, who was considered one of the 40 thieves of exploitation back in the day, along with guys like Kroger Babb and Dan Sonny. And he very much influenced Millard in his life. When he was 6 years old, he was going to see burlesque shows where they were showing birth of the baby reels and venereal disease reels. So he's very much influenced by that stuff, and as soon as he could, when he was 20 years old, he got a movie camera and he decided that the easiest thing he could do was to make porno movies because they made a lot of money and they're easy to make. He said you get a good-looking couple together and you have them go at it and you make $50,000 off that movie, which was true back then. You could do that. So eventually he got burned out on making pornos that were, of course, the greatest art pornos ever made, according to him. And he looked at the next thing that was coming, which was horror, right after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, and he decided that horror would be the next big thing that he could get on. So he made 2 movies back-to-back with a 16mm camera in San Francisco. One of them was Criminally Insane, the other one was called Satan's Black Wedding. And interesting thing about Millard is that he never made a movie over 65 minutes, including this one that we're going to watch tonight, which is perfect and the best length for a movie because no one wants to watch a movie longer than 65 minutes, right? Right. So what happened with Millard is that he made these 2 horror movies and they were not well received. I don't even know if they had theatrical bookings or prints were made. That's why we're watching this on VHS tonight, because Millard does own the negative for this movie, but there's no print to watch, so we're going to watch the tape. And so what happened is he kind of went back to softcore and hardcore in between there, and then he kind of took a break. And then he found himself in Las Vegas in the mid-'80s, and his mother was a hairdresser, and she had a hairdresser friend that said, "Oh, Nicky, don't you used to make those movies? Are you interested in making those again?" He's like, "Well, sure, I can make those again, but here's how much money I need." And it was like, $75,000. He's like, "Well, I don't have that much, but I have about $2,000. And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go buy a camcorder. I'm gonna make that a long-awaited 3rd sequel to Criminally Insane called Death Nurse. And then I'm going to make Death Nurse 2. And then I'm going to make Cemetery Sisters. I'm going to make 357 Magnum, Blood Blast, The Terrorist, Dr. Bloodbath, which is the greatest abortion slasher you'll ever see. And the mother's friend, who was a hairdresser, was so impressed that she started a video label called Chop 'Em Up Video, exclusively to release Nick Millard's movies. What a beautiful story.
Man, so, does he, would he know that this is happening right now? He has no idea that people, love this movie, or what? I mean, I'm sure he probably thinks very highly of himself.
He does, indeed. Very much so. Very, very much so. I'm sure he does know about this. He's on the internet, and if you email him, he's on Facebook, and if you interact with him, he will write you back in all caps, just like an 80-year-old grandpa should.
I wonder if he's open to the idea of maybe putting this out on, Criterion Blu-ray and doing a really nice, restoration.
I can see it happening. I mean, I really, after you guys see this, for real.
And we can get some other hairdressers involved.
I think we can find some hairdressers in Austin to get behind that. And I think you're probably wondering, why would this guy call himself the Godard of XXX? And the reason for that is that his movies aesthetically aren't the typical Herschel Gordon Lewis or Dave Friedman point and shoot porno movies that he was making. Is that his aesthetic was really insane. And you'll see it in this movie is that it's kind of like a mixture of the mood is Painkillers, but the style of editing is cocaine binge. And it's his editing style is insane. You'll see there's scenes in this movie that are 2 seconds long, 5 in a row.
Yeah, I was gonna say, see, now I'm on a microphone.
like, I was watching it obviously like a couple weeks ago just in preparation for this, and I was like, man, there's some kind of like, there's kind of a 70s film stripness about it. Like there's flute music playing, and it's kind of a verite looking thing. I mean, I didn't say that, but like, and then there's also that scene, there's a scene kind of towards the end that's almost like if you just took that, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 minute sequence, it would be like the greatest experimental film ever made. It's just crazy like little bit. And so that's a really good thing to watch out for, because it really is kind of artfully done.
It really is. It's like very avant-garde, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was intentional on his part. So kudos to him because he actually pulled it off.
Do you know much about Patricia Alden at all? Like,
I do.
Yeah. Can we talk about her?
She is actually, so she is Crazy Fat Ethel, that's her name in the movie. And in Death Nurse and Death Nurse 2, she played Crazy Fat Edith. No relation. But she was actually a classically trained actress and a very smart, intelligent person, very educated. She was on soap operas back in the day, and she really actually loved this work. Like, she really looked at it as a serious thing, and I think that's why she's so incredible in this movie. And you'll feel it. I mean, this is her movie. You're entering her world, and you're seeing the entire world through her eyes, and it works really well. And I think because of her dedication to the part, how great she is.
Yeah, I mean, she really does a great job. There's one of my favorite scenes in the movie is where she's spraying. You'll see it. She's spraying like Glade air freshener in like a circle, and while eating a donut. So I'm like, oh man, brilliant. That's a good one. I had to do a screen grab of it because I was like, man, this is going on Facebook.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's really all you need to
Yeah.
get into this movie. Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention.
No, I just have to say though, thank you again so much for like collaborating on this with me. And I have to tell you that like a bunch of my college friends saw that I was doing this, and they were totally freaking out. They were like, I can't believe you get to show Criminally Insane in a movie here. That's insane. So like, I'm very happy to be here.
Oh man, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you. Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, so house rules now. Of course, you guys know, please no interruptions, no talking, no cell